Hello, and welcome to Wednesday. I had to think about that. So, yesterday I did not put together a video. Yesterday was a day. There is a lot happening on Twitter at the moment, and continuing to happen on Twitter at the moment. Some very important but very weighty conversations on top of what is already. It seems like 2020 is just consistently, like, things are getting heavier and heavier, and a lot of that is good stuff. A lot of that is very important things. And it feels like if there's one silver lining with everything that's happening, it's the fact that folks are getting to the point where something needs to change. And so these things that are systemic and create inequality are being tackled head on. Just head on. To wit, I normally stream on Wednesday nights on Twitch. It's hobby slash social outlet. So one of the very tiny impacts to my life is that there is a Twitch blackout happening today, targeting US time zones, but in solidarity with that, I'm reluctant to go onto Twitter to find out exactly what is happening, because that means engaging with everything else that is happening. And yesterday that tanked my headspace just so hard. So in solidarity with that, today I'm going to be streaming on YouTube instead, YouTube Live, which means engaging with another company that is, most likely problematic in its own ways, but it's just a small way of trying to support those statistics around Twitch just seeing a sudden drop off in terms of active users today. So there you go. So what did I do yesterday? Let's talk about the project. We'll try and keep this short and positive. So yesterday Let me start that again. Yesterday I got a number of voiceover assets, just scratch assets recorded. They're now in the experience. I've started working on getting intense working, and I've realized I've gotten to a point today where I actually need to sit down and plan out again. What is it that I want to have operating in some kind of way? What is fun from an audio perspective for this experience? And so I've got to sit down and really think about that. Because as a great example, I like one of the things I fell down a rabbit hole on is looking at different options for offering or requesting surrender from your opponent versus. Again, I'll start that in English. I looked looking at different options or different responses that your opponent would have depending on the relative levels of damage between you and them. But it's not as fun, it's not as engaging, because it's one thing. Like, I think the thing that is fun about that is potentially like hailing them. It's hailing them and having the oral experience of hearing someone over some sort of communicator. I think that was the thing that was enticing me there. But having different options based on what's happening inside the combat, not fun. But what is I think really interesting is if you're in a situation where you've got critical damage, having standard responses to commands have a different emotional tone to them. Also, soundscape stuff around if you have critical damage, then just issuing even commands and getting a response. So hearing the standard soundscape for that, with warning klaxons in the background, with alarms, with the occasional like sparking of things because your ship is damaged. That is fun. Starting evasive maneuvers and hearing the occasional groaning of the ship's chassis while you're putting it under strain. That's fun. So I'm going to go back to the Trello board that I've got. I'm going to sit down with some notepaper, and I'm just going to try and constrain as much as possible the work for the rest of this week, because that ties into next week, because next week's all about replacing these scratch assets and implemented intents with intents that are firing off the final assets. So that's what I'm going to be doing. So just looking at the smallest, going back to that principle of what is the simplest thing that I can make for this that still demonstrates dynamic audio and still demonstrates the things that I want to do. Great example before I let you go. I'd been thinking about one of the things that had been implemented in the previous prototype is the ability to turn systems on and off. And then you get a different response when you ask for a status report, depending on whether systems are on or off. It's kind of cute to be able to flick a bunch of switches and turn things on and off inside the ship. It's cute, but I don't know that it really engages you. So that's where things are at. Oh, before I do go, just a brief example. Let's see if we can make this work. Now, this is all scratch assets, so the sound levels on this don't quite work out, and the sound effects that I'm using are probably going to be replaced as well. The VO is just slapped together very quickly, but here's an example of sort of the stuff I've been working on. Computer, open Bounty Hunter.
Welcome, Bounty Hunter. You may request access to your ship by providing its name and class.
Fire mass drivers.
I am having trouble with connecting to the audio file URL.
Fire ion net. Computer, open Bounty Hunter.
Welcome, Bounty Hunter. You may request access to your ship by providing its name and class.
Fire missiles.
I am having trouble with connecting to the audio file URL.
Well, there you go. Well, that's my work for this afternoon. I had that fixed before. Obviously, I've gone and broken something again. It's proof positive that, what you're seeing here is live. All right, so that's me. So I'm going to sit down and plan out the rest of this week. I'm going to figure out what's happening as well. Right after I finish recording this video about what's happening with the weapon firing intents, because they demonstrate sort of a few things together, and I think they're kind of fun. So I want to figure out why they're not working. They were earlier. It's live development, folks. All right. I hope you have a good day. I hope the day is kind to you, and I will see you tomorrow. Talk to you then.